Please welcome Professor Dr. Sumaira Rehman, convener of the Association of Private Sector Universities of Pakistan and Rector of Superior University, to the stage.
Thank you. So I'm audible enough. Good evening. So I would like to begin with a story. Imagine two rooms. In first room, there sits a graduate, brilliant graduate, holding a degree, but no job. And now imagine another room. There is a CEO of a leading company interviewing candidates because company has jobs. But CEO says, we cannot find the graduate who can solve our problems. One room has talent without opportunity, and the other room has opportunity without talent. How these both exist simultaneously? We need to question that. What industry need from academia? And if industry knows what it needs, then why the gaps still exist? And at the same time, we need to ask, if universities are producing so many graduates, our international rankings are improving, our publications are increasing, then why the real world problem solving is not increasing at the same speed? For me, it is not employment crisis. It is the crisis of education relevance. That is why we are here today. So, as you all know, that the role of university is to contribute, is to convert human potential into human capital and research into solutions. But there are some gaps in the higher education ecosystem which I really want to highlight. The first gap is from education to employment, and the second gap is from research to reality. Higher education has very simple sequence: study first, graduate, and then enters the market. But market doesn't behave like classrooms. And at the same time, our graduates spending years in producing knowledge, and they are also defending their thesis, publishing their papers, but we seldom ask them, what problem your research has solved? Who used it? And does any industry get any benefit out of your research? So at Superior University, these questions really forced us to rethink our journeys. The journey of a student from classroom to contribution, and a journey of a researcher from thesis to impact. And two questions became two experiments. Can a graduate get the degree having already experienced the market? That became 3U1M. And can a researcher finish the PhD having helped solve an industry problem? That became one PhD, one solution. In many instances, we see that industry meet our students for the first time, especially at job fairs after 4 years, and they tell us they are not ready. Perhaps the real question is, where was the industry during those 4 years? So our 3U1M has the answer to bridge that gap from education to employment. At undergrad level, we redesigned our learning around student employability as an educational philosophy. And we integrate industry across the 3 UNM journey. And 3 years in university powered by project-based learning, and 1 market-intensive year, which is powered by 4 career pathways. And 1M, let me tell you, 1M is not another year of lectures. It is a year which gives transition from student life to professional life. And we totally believe and understand that not every student follows the same path. Some wants job, some wants to run their enterprises, and some wants to scale their family business, and other wants international careers. So our students experience market before they receive the degrees. They experience real companies, real problems, real customers, real competitions. So usually, traditionally, universities say, study first, work later. Our 3 U1M says, learn, experience, apply, solve, and then graduate. So due to this educational philosophy, it has been translated into measurable outcomes. If I talk about graduate employability, our employability has significantly improved from 69% to overall 82%. And in 30 programs this year, we achieved 100% employability. And if I talk about student entrepreneurship has created 217 startups, which has created more than 2,000 jobs and generated 2.3 billion revenue. But I believe undergrad education is not enough. Universities are known for their research. And this is where we ask another question. What if every PhD work on a national challenge? So instead of asking our PhD, what topic would you like to research, we now ask, what problem your research will solve? And who is the customer? And who is the owner of the problem? Either it's a hospital, a farmer, a manufacturer, maybe a pharmacist, a textile company, and so on. Because we believe once we identify the owner of the problem, research finds the destination. And that is how they're working on providing solutions for water scarcity, climate change, biotechnology, AI, and so many other areas. And at the same time, our graduate research productivity is increasing every year. And that is why we are being placed among top 5 research universities in private sector. So let me reframe the gap. We usually picture this as industry on one hand and academia on the other hand, and we try to bridge the gap between them. But for me, this metaphor is outdated. Why industry problems should stay out of our classrooms? Why our researchers should be disconnected from solving or giving solution to the industry? I believe the objective is not industry-academia linkages. Perhaps it is industry-academia integration where problem, people, and knowledge continuously work in both directions. So that is how you build a university that become the factories or solution factories. Therefore, I suggest 7 levels of industry-academia integration. The first level, that industry inform the curriculum. Industry has to tell what competencies are needed by employers and what are the emerging skills and emerging technologies that we can embed in our programs. And I strongly suggest that there has to be an industry advisory boards at every program level. They're not just in papers, but they are active and very strong. And second level, industry should enter the classroom as a co-teacher maybe, or as supervisor of the project, or as mentors. They also give us the real problem, and students get the real experience through internships or maybe design challenge. At the same time, level 5 is that industry co-create research. Imagine a company coming to a university saying, our energy has been increased by 20%. Can your researcher help solve? So that's how we co-create research with industry. And then research becomes commercialization through technology transfer. And obviously, we need to measure the socio-economic impact of the research. A solution adopted by industry is a socio-economic impact. So our research should be revolved around measuring not only publications, but also how many solutions have been adopted by the industry. That is where universities, imagine universities has 100 of industry connected directly to your researchers. So in that way, universities can help transform the knowledge economy and become solution factories. Therefore, I propose, because we have majority of ORIC has gathered here today, the role of ORIC must change. ORIC should not be a traditional administrative office managing compliance. They have a bigger role to play. They need to become a bridge in knowledge and economy. Therefore, I suggest 4 transformational roles of ORICs. One is the connector. They need to connect student and faculty with the industry so that they can co-create. And ORIC has to act as an accelerator. They try to help people promising ideas to move from the labs and come in the market through technology transfer. And they also act as a translator who can translate industrial problems into potential research questions for the research graduates. And finally, ORIC has to act as an ecosystem builder, where they try to connect investors, entrepreneurs, researchers, international partners in order to create impactful research. So if universities are becoming, very, very connected to the industry, that's how the transformation will begin. And that's how, if universities are producing the real-time solution of the industrial challenges, this is where universities become part of socio-economic development. Therefore, I propose a national framework that revolves around 3 major pillars: industry, university, and government. I strongly believe that universities cannot work in silos. Industry cannot develop the talent alone. And government cannot reform the economy alone. We need a partnership. We need a very, very strong partnership where industry gives the problems, university gives the solution, government enables scale, and that is how society gets impacts and solutions. So if we want to become engines of socioeconomic growth, then we have to rethink our role and rethink the system within the university and stop blaming that there is a gap between industry and academia. We have to build that integration within our system so that we can reduce that gap. And imagine if university becomes a place where students can learn to create and researchers learn to solve the problems, then we will not be talking about bridging industry-academia gap because there will be no gap left to bridge. Thank you very much.